everyone. Let's make a light up card today. I'm using the Simon Says stamp die called Spooky Tree Arch, and I believe it was released last year. I thought it'd be fun to light this up with a halo light. I'm inking up the black arch with some purple distress oxide. This is seedless preserves, but if you don't have this color, you can use any of the others. I love using a bit of purple to give a fun spooky haze on Halloween cards. You could leave your ghosts white, but I like adding a little bit of detail with my Olo markers. So I'm going over with some dark and then the light. And then at the very end, I go back and add the dark again. So I kind of like to do that to blend out the harshness of the dark lines and then just reaffirm them at the very end. Now we're ready for that halo light combo. Don't worry, I'll find a use for those other two one lights that come with it. I'm just checking to make sure everything's going to fit. Now I'm getting out my Pear Blossom Press vellum. I ink blended it, but I kind of mess up, so I'll have to show you how I ink blended a little later. So if you see a piece, don't worry about it. It gets redone. And then I added some splatter and inked up the edges because I like that kind of look for this spooky feel. Just making sure I'm going to have all the ghosts in the right spot. Then I decided I needed a button, so I cut out one more ghost, coloring them up real quick. And then I'm going to use the Pear Blossom Press stamp set to add a little push there. So I thought this guy might be a little left out, not having some glowing eyes, so I'm giving him a little bit of orange paper behind his eyes. I wanted to use some paper I had in my stash, and then I thought, well, I like to make sure that everybody can repeat these. So I'm actually using this Pink Fresh Studio stencil, and bonus, I get to pick what color my my stripes are on the sides. So I used Villainous Potion, and as you can see, I didn't arrange it correctly the first time. It's a pretty forgiving ink. You just make it a little darker. Covers up that line that I made. So I did both edges because I'm going to cover it up with this gray panel. So I'm using that same villainous potion, and then I'm coming in with that carved pumpkin and gave it a nice blend. And only doing it on one side, it didn't seem as opaque as I wanted it to look. So I went ahead and flipped it over and did it on both sides. Depends on how you want it. So that's going to be putting that vellum on the back. Then we're going to inlay the arch. Don't forget that little gray piece missing down there. It looks a little weird in the roots. And then I'm positioning the halo light just to make sure it's going to fit back there. And then I'm going to adhere it with some double-sided tape. I don't know if you noticed, but when I was lighting up the card a little earlier, you could see the white behind it. And so I wanted to make it a little darker with the light. So I'm putting that gray panel right behind it. So, of course, I messed up putting this down and the top of the edge was sticking out. So just repositioning and then trying to make sure all the lights are showing and not behind any of the branches. Super easy. And this is the Lawn Fawn Happy Halloween line border. I did it in black and also a orange glitter paper and offset it a little bit. Love that for the sentiment. And then now we're going to use the world's best foam tape. Gets us at that perfect height for the light. Good support on the sides. If we mess up, super easy to reposition again. Absolutely love this tape. And then I'm doing that little flip technique on the long pieces. Jennifer McGuire had done that before, and I just do that all the time with all my foam pieces. It helps you not get totally stuck down and you can reposition it. And then now it's time to place all my little ghosties. I'm turning on the light and making sure that all their little eye holes are right over those lights. Gosh, this is turning out so freaking cute. I've never thought to use the lights before like this, where usually the halo lights you just use it as a globe, but I actually thought it pops enough for each individual light the way I did it, and so they can actually be the eyes of the ghosts. Hope you like it. Hope you're gonna make a light up card for Halloween this year. See you again soon.